Hi, and welcome to Night Clerk Radio, episode 42, where today we're doing our legally obligated spooky month episode, as I'm calling it. I think we're keeping it within tradition because we also just released our October bonus episode, which was a really nice chat with Caleb Stokes, who's been a common guest on the show, where we went over mostly like literary topics, but all these various techniques, and I don't want to say tropes, but like techniques, I think is the right word, of horror and how they manifest in not just vaporwave, but kind of all of the haunted music we talk about. It was a really nice discussion. There's also a special audio unboxing that we did.
Yeah, we sure did. I've left it on my recording table as a special, check out what I've gotten. It's a icebreaker for sure. And what is it? You'll have to listen to find out.
I tried to explain it to my roommate, and I don't think he got it. But I don't blame him. He's like, what are those things sitting on your speakers? Because they're on my, I got both, and they're sitting on my speakers. And like, I was like, well, they're so-and-so. And he was like, huh. Okay.
Yeah.
A good month for physical media for me, because I also got my Geometric Lullaby Groceries reprint.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
So
yeah,
good times all around.
Have you listened to it yet?
No. There's some issues with my vinyl setup at the moment. I need to get it back up and running so I can listen to stuff. Because I was doing that Deadly Prey rip for you. And need to get back.
Thank you again.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It was highly appreciated.
But today, I mean, we're keeping with the theme, but we're just going to talk about a couple of spooky albums. I don't know. I don't really have a preamble for this. I think we just picked holiday appropriate music.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the albums isn't even vaporwave, it's synthwave because
there it is.
Yeah, but it, synthwave can be horrific too. There's a whole subgenre of synthwave, dark synthwave, dark synth.
One of them's not even vaporwave, it's vaporgoth.
Well, vaporgoth is a dead micro genre of subgenre of vaporwave, so I consider that vaporwave.
Okay.
You can also consider it pretty close to signal wave, at least this particular album, signal wave or broken transmissions, because, well, we'll get into that too. But yeah, one is brand new. One is came out in 2015, but they're both very dark and spooky and in different ways. And I quite enjoyed both, of course. So yeah, it's spooky month. You need spooky music to listen to.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should just get into it. Like, not to rush things, but I just want to talk about the music.
Sure.
So those very familiar sounding synths are the first bit you hear of the first track on Lost Themes 3, the new album from, well, I say it's new. It was released in February. So it's from this year, but also only John Carpenter would release John Carpenter music in February. Like something for the winter chills. But yeah, so Lost Themes 3, Alive After Death, the latest album of his trio collaboration with his son, Cody
and
Carpenter.
Godson.
And Godson, Daniel Davies.
Yes. I'm entirely speculating, but I wonder if this February release is partly due because of COVID. Yeah. Because he had been touring. And then obviously last year that all stopped because of COVID. But I'm not complaining because
no. And I think that's probably a really good point. Didn't occur to me because I know he was really happy to be touring. Like he's talked about in interviews. He's really liked this kind of renaissance of a musical career. But listening to this album, which the first time I listened to it was on a road trip with you on like car speakers. And I was like, no, there's not much going on here. And then, subsequent listens on good headphones and stuff. I don't mean this in a mean way, but man, it is a John Carpenter album, huh?
Boy, it really is. It really just right out the gate. It is. If you've listened to any of the other previous two Lost Theme albums, we haven't reviewed the second one, but yeah, John Carpenter's greatest strength and weakness is that he knows what he's about and he sticks to that lane.
Mm-hmm.
He is not, I'm sure he thinks he's experimenting, or he is trying to experiment within a very certain style that he's developed, but like he's not experimenting in such a way that a more casual listener like me would be able to pick up. This is a stick. Now, I do want to mention though, before we get into this album, recently I did watch the 2018 Halloween movie, which he executive produced and composed the soundtrack for with his son and his godson, Daniel Davies. And I listened just to the soundtrack of that as well. And that album, boy, they take the Halloween theme and man, they just put some work on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of variations of the Halloween theme. I mean, there's other songs in it too, but like, if you really like the Halloween theme, man, you'll like Halloween, the 2018 soundtrack. So yeah, it also knows what it's about, and it's very good, dark synthwave. And the 2018 movie was pretty good too, as a horror movie. Certainly better than Halloween Kills, which just came out, which was kind of a muddled mess.
Oh, okay.
But some good kills along the way and some good music. I haven't listened to the soundtrack of that. The 2018 movie was a huge success, commercially and critically too. People liked it, and like I said, it's a good horror movie. So his renaissance has reached its peak, I think. I mean, he really is. Certainly that album reached a lot more people than any of the Lost Scene albums. So if you like the style of music, if you like what he's doing, I would definitely track down that soundtrack, at least to the 2018 Halloween. Halloween Kills. Music I remember being okay, but the movies.
Yeah.
Just as a footnote before we really dive into this album.
Sure. And I do think that raises like the most important point is that when I say this is a John Carpenter album, I'm not being dismissive, but you will know exactly what you get. I think that opening sample of those like opening synth arpeggios, that is what he's all about.
Yeah. And I think the guitar, like he really likes
loves the solo,
loves guitar contrasting with the synths. Like
a ripping lead guitar line coming in against the synth is like a big part of a lot of this.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. So I think the first thought I had listening to it, and I kind of went back and re-listened to some of Lost Themes 1 and 2 and read my notes from when we did this, because we talked a lot about John Carpenter and his music in episode 17. So I don't want to like rehash too much, but one of my thoughts on Lost Themes 1 and 2 is that a lot of the tracks felt like they could have been many 1 or 2 minute tracks. Like there were a lot of changes on that album. And I felt like he was much more controlled in this one. Like they were much more cohesive songs. Like they did a better job of building on musical themes, like within a song, but without feeling like a total shift. So it's much better at like, I don't know if it's just because like the experimental style and, you don't really write stuff. You just kind of jam and see what works and then pull songs together. But it felt like much more controlled at coming back to kind of what a track was about. Or if it went places, it was like a build in energy. So I think that is like one thing about this album and really his music in general is that so much of it is so driving and energetic. There's like, he loves just pounding, just like that.
Yeah.
Like just straight, I don't know, like straight quarter notes, just and like building up around that. I don't know if it's like, it's very energetic. It almost feels like something's chasing you or like, but it's so funny to me given his movies, because as much as I love his movies, his action movies are like, because they're low budget and action's expensive and hard, they tend to be pretty restrained. So I just get these images of like this really driving drum and synth, but then just like Kurt Russell just wandering around like the back streets of like Ohio or something.
Yeah. I mean, there are some tracks in the back half that I felt were more contemplative, I should say.
Yes.
So he is varying it up a little bit, especially like track 8 and 10, I thought were pretty. I mean, track 10 gets really Baroque sounding, with the choir and the piano and like, yeah, it's, but yeah, I would say that's his MO is the driving like character on a mission, going through the terrain, traveling like,
traveling is really good. Like that's interesting. Cause like, I do like that evocative visage of like somebody traveling. I don't know why. Like, I do think that fits his music really well. And you kind of beat me to my second point. So I'm glad that, because we agreed that I do think that there are tracks though that do feel more contemplative, like you said, is the right word for it. So I'm glad I wasn't the only one that thought that. So like,
yeah, I think the thing about these contemplative tracks is, ironically, like we were listening to the first time we listened to this album, we were on the road and that kind of got swallowed up. Like there's certain types of music that are better for actually traveling, and that sort of music without a lot of subtlety, because like just the sound of the highway or whatever you're going, background sound, no matter, unless you're wearing perfect headphones, it's going to get swallowed up. So yeah. I didn't notice that. So I was like, I was pleasantly surprised when I listened to it at home.
Yeah, because you're talking over it and everything. Yeah, like it's just, yeah.
Thinking back of all of these Lost Theme albums, I've listened to all of them, but like I still think my favorite song by far was actually one of the remixes from the first one, and that's the Zola Jesus and Dean Hurley remix of Night. So I don't know if they released any remixes or anything like that with this album.
They did.
Oh, okay. I have not listened to any of those. Did any of those stand out to you?
So I only listened to one because I liked the band that did it. So, and I'm glad you said that, because I was going to segue into this next. So see, we're in tune tonight. Yeah. And it's perfect because it's about a track you mentioned. So let me just play a bit of this. So the first track you talked about being contemplative was track 8, Turning the Bones, which sounds like this. So yeah, a lot of this really nice synth work, very reserved. But what was interesting is that it was remixed / covered. I don't know in electronica where that boundary is by a band I really like, Churches. Do you know them?
I've heard of them and I've listened to some of their music, but I haven't like really delved too deep into their discography. So yeah,
that's fair. So those at home, they're a Scottish like synth pop trio. They've been around for about 10 years. They're pretty cool, but they do really interesting covers. So they did a remix cover of Turning the Bones, which sounds like this. What struck me about this is that it was such a breath of fresh air, because it's still it still sounds very much like his music, but the synth choices and the production are just different enough that it really kind of, to your point, made me wish that he more broadly experimented.
Yeah.
And bought more sounds and textures and stuff, because I know that he knows how to. Like, that was the whole premise of his music in the 70s, was figuring out what you can do. And I'm a little worried it's a little locked into like what he likes now.
Yeah, like it's seldom that I wish I would go like, oh man, I really wish this artist would experiment and go way change their style dramatically, you know, from the stuff I already actually like, because that's the common thing is like, oh man, I really like them. Oh, now they're doing an acoustic album. Fuck. Well, or something like that. Or like, oh, I like this electronic. Oh, they're doing a pop album with and they're singing. Oh,
I mean, that's how I felt, man, when Saves the Day released like an electronic album. It was very hard for me.
But like, this is kind of like this is the rare opposite. I really think he should do like a concept album that would be, like all of these albums have been like theoretical movie soundtracks or like music for movies that don't exist. What I'd like to see is him to take either rescore an existing movie and not one of his own movies, like someone else's movie. That would be interesting.
Oh, that would be really interesting.
Yeah, because I don't know what he would pick, and I would love to see it regardless. Or take like one of his unfinished scripts or unproduced scripts and like score it, just imagining it. And then get like, the thing is, these sound like potential movies soundtrack, like score songs, but like they're all too consistent in a way. You know, like I've talked about how like movie soundtrack and movie scores often will have like, oh, here's the creeping around music. Oh, then there's the scary monster attacks and kills music. And then there's the comic relief music. And these are all just kind of like vibing, traveling. You don't really hear the actual structure of a movie in this. They're all, in a sense, too consistent.
That's a great point. Yeah, because they're all to me like cold open or opening credits music.
Cold open or ending credit music almost. Yeah.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. There's not like a fight scene or like a love scene or like any other. Yeah. So I think I just some kind of, maybe not even the movie thing, just a concept album. I would love to see something where I think Carpenter works best when he has a focus. And I think this album in particular is a little unfocused. It's just kind of general moviness. Yeah,
so like any one song is pretty good and focused, but like as a cohesive album, it's like a bunch of singles kind of.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. But this would be, if you're into synthwave and dark synthwave, throw this into your mix. You're not going to go wrong with any of these songs. You know, I like it, and I'll definitely listen to this more. But like, I just hope his next work is, if anything, a little more ambitious.
What I would like to see in that regard is, given how much we like remixes of songs, for him to just have more features. You know, like how many people would love to like work with Carpenter? Oh yeah. Just a remix album. Yeah. It doesn't even have to be remixes, just make songs with people.
Oh, collabs. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean by feature. Sorry. Yeah. So like bring in Churches for one song, you know, or whoever, just because I get the vibe that like he's a good collaborator. I don't think he's like some like, oh, this bullshit. Only my vision is right type. Just introduce some variety into his life.
I think the Halloween 2018 album is better than this because it was focused, because it was like to accompany a movie, a Halloween movie. So like, I mean, of course, it's also partially because it's based on the fucking, you know, Halloween theme song, which is an, you know, all time banger of a synthwave track.
Yeah, absolute classic for sure.
Yeah. So it's good. But yeah, you know what you're getting with this. So which is like, in a sense, a relief, because you know you're not going to be, if you love this stuff, you're not going to be disappointed. Like, you're not going to be surprised by this album, I guess, is the greatest criticism it can have. But like, I didn't have a bad time and I don't regret buying it. So yeah.
No, not at all. No. I think with that, we will move on.
That was a sample from Projects from the album Wiretap by Chinese Hackers. This is a vaporgoth album. Chinese Hackers we previously discussed in our Vaporwave Iceberg episode from their EP Die. But this is their more popular album. It is a 13-track vaporgoth / industrial / echo jam / plunderphonics / signal wave, broken transmissions. It is quite dark. Comments on the Bandcamp page compared to the Silent Hill soundtrack in a good way, and I am inclined to agree. It is 30-ish minutes of pitch-shifted darkness, gloomy sounds, and it is 100% my jam.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think, Rick?
Oh, I love this album. Yeah. I had so much fun listening to this. It is such my kind of weird little shit. It was like slow going at first. And then, yeah, like Projects that you sampled started to pick up for me. And then the next track Forward with like thumping, slimy synth, just like ooze. It's just ooze. It's like oozy. It's like audio oozy in a way I can't explain. And I think also listening to it back to back with Lost Themes was like, oh man, this is like what could like.
I'd love to see Carpenter like give him some albums like this. Like, can you vibe on this kind of thing?
Because Forward is like for the first couple seconds is almost like a mashed or like a bit crushed Carpenter song. Yeah, it's just got that same vibe.
Yeah, this is definitely like in the classic, but what Plunderphonics is supposed to be, says the Plunderphonics traditionalist, in that there's a lot of sampled sounds and music, but they're so distorted that you can't tell where they're from. Now, somebody on a comment, I think on the YouTube of this, said the opening sample of this album is from Half-Life 2, and there's clearly some. Oh, at one point they sample the Chanel No. 5 commercial that Infinity Frequencies also used in an album that we talked about before in our Signal Wave episode. But they pitch shift it to make it sound even more ethereal and weird. So I believe that is track 12, Wiretap, the title track. But yeah, it's the album art depicts this gruesome, the silhouetted industrial environment with some figures sort of staring off into the distance. When this is certainly evoking the kind of music that you're hearing. It's very heavy machinery in the distance, underground rumbling, going through an illegal rave in a concrete chamber almost. Like, I mean, there's some weird techno that bounces off of you. It's a dark affair.
I'm going to be honest, in real time, it's kind of fucking with me that it's a Half-Life 2 sample. Because, man, that is a game I've played many times. And
right. Yeah, I didn't recognize it either. I played it. Yeah. Now, that is, I can't confirm that 100% because that was just someone commenting on the YouTube page for this album. And I looked at the Hue samples for this album, and the only thing they listed is the Chanel No. 5 commercial. So I can't confirm it.
Okay.
But I mean, clearly it sounds like there's a lot of sampled material in here.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird voices. There's a lot of weird clips of sounds of looping, but they're all just kind of distorted and wrong. Everybody's very dissonant. So like, I will play another sample. This is from track 8, which is entirely in Japanese characters, featuring someone Japanese characters that I don't recognize. But it's got these distorted Japanese voice samples. Like you mentioned, it picks up in speed as the album goes on. And so, yeah, it's a real interesting set of choices. Oh, I think actually this is Dark Pyramid, featuring Dark Pyramid. In other words, Hong Kong Express. So, well, it's somebody, whoever this person was, they were on Dream Catalog, the person featured in this track. So
A quick Google translating says Fog featuring Chessmaster.
Fog featuring Chessmaster. Okay.
But hey, take it up with Google.
Yeah. Chessmaster was on Dream Catalog at one point. So, but yeah, maybe it's who knows?
Not
so Chinese Hackers, I think I actually picked this cassette up back in 2015 when this came out because I'd like Die so much. I picked up this, but vaporgoth unfortunately kind of died out after this. Like nobody else really wanted to do, because I would say this is still vaporwave because it is still using this plunderphonics and echo jams kind of material or style, but giving it a more industrial bent. Would you characterize it as vaporwave?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, because before you told me that it was vaporgoth when they came up on the Iceberg episode, I really thought they were something like dark ambient signal wave adjacent.
Yeah.
Which, what's in a name, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think I've documented enough that genre is bullshit to me anyway. So yeah, like I don't see how it isn't. It's definitely on the more unsettling side, like purposefully. It's dark and foreboding, but it is repurposing. It is sampling and recontextualizing and all those types of important things. So it strikes me as vaporwave.
Yeah, a vaporwave take on the Silent Hill milieu.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many times I've listened to the Silent Hill 2 soundtrack, but
it's very good.
It's very good. And those industrial sounding tracks in that album definitely remind me of this. But yeah, there's just a lot of in 32 minutes, there's a lot of variety. Like it's even though it has this kind of pseudo ambient, ambient-ish kind of soundscape structure to it, it's just too fast to be a real ambient album. Like it just changes too much, I think.
Yeah, I think it's just ambient to me. Yeah, I guess basically what you just said
is
if
you played certain minutes of it, like a 60-second sample of it, and compared it to like some Telepath album, you'd be like, oh yeah, those are both ambient. But then listen to like my second sample with the from Fog, that's not ambient. That's that's just industrial. Like that's yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah. It's definitely the kind of album, if I was running horror games and I didn't worry about copyright on my podcast, I would definitely play. Or just, wanting to have a late night weird mood.
You could just leave the music video for Fog on repeat on your TV or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, unfortunately, Chinese Hackers doesn't seem to be too active now. But yeah, I appreciate their work for what they did do.
Yeah, I'm mostly just bummed that I find this vaporgoth so interesting between Die and this album. There's really nobody making it anymore. That's really a shame.
Well, actually, I just looked on Bandcamp and there are some people still tagging it, which I didn't notice. Let's see here. These are just random people tagging it.
Yeah, that's so hard because are they tagging it because they're into it, or are they tagging it? To be on it.
Maybe there's just been a recent renaissance of it, but yeah, there's not many albums in this thing, especially compared to vaporwave, or plunderphonics or any of those other things. So yeah, something maybe we could investigate more, because there's probably, it really kind of dropped off after 2017 or so, at least in my understanding. But yeah, maybe now that we're aware that there could be vapor goth music, there will be a renaissance in it, which I would like to see.
I would love to see that. I'm going to definitely dig into it. So, hey, don't be surprised if there's a Vapor Goth episode in a month or two.
Hell yeah.
As much as I just made fun of genres, I also love finding new ones.
It's always good to find a new sound that really clicks with you, which is part of the fun of doing this podcast. It's oh, wow, I like this. This is cool. This is neat.
Because it's so funny because I love goth rock, 70s, 80s era stuff. I love all that So it'll be really interesting to match that up in vaporwave. Now I'm excited. So thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed digging into some spooky music with us. Definitely let us know what you like for spooky music, because that's what I want to hear. I want to hear more from like the people that listen to this, because I feel like maybe you know some things we don't, and you got to let us know those things that you know that we don't, you know? Thanks.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, next episode, we're going to be getting back into some dark jazz. I feel like it's been a while since we've really done some dark ambient. I want to see what's some new dark jazz that's out there. What are some things that are people releasing relatively recently? So looking forward to going through that.
Yeah. November is the jazziest of months. Not many people know that.
It's the post-Halloween party.
Yeah, it's the post-Halloween. It's also dark. It's literally dark. The days are getting shorter. At least
up here in the north. Yeah, northern hemisphere. Yeah.
That's just common sense.
All right. So thank you. If you like this or want to get more of what we do, you can support us on Patreon at Night Clerk Radio at patreon.com. We do bonus episodes. Our artist in residence is very busy with other projects, but I hope to maybe get some new vaporwave art from Patsy up there soon. Start to commission some stuff. And then there's also our Discord where you can chat with us about episodes. We all post back and forth weird links at each other, and it's just an all around good community to hang out in. But if that's not your speed, you can also find us on Twitter at Night Clerk Radio. I am at Burkamick Burkinson. Ross is at Ross Payton. You can also find us Night Clerk Radio basically anywhere, nightclerkradio.com, Facebook if you're still into that kind of thing, Instagram, though I don't use it. Everywhere. Just look for Night Clerk Radio. We're out there. Wherever you do choose to interact with us, take a moment to rate, review, even per episode. I think on some platforms you can, whatever you can to get the stupid algorithm to tell other people about what we do here. And really the most powerful way to do that is word of mouth, right? So
yeah,
I hope you have a nice Halloween if that's what you're into. And thanks for listening.